Hi, I'm Sierra and I live in this RV, aka my hobbit home on wheels. And today I'm going to show you how I transformed it from a dark, depressing, dingy travel trailer into the most magical tiny home. Which, by the way, I did almost all of this completely on my own, which is honestly a miracle because not only do I have no experience or background knowledge on any sort of building skills, I also have ADHD and I'm raising a child on my own. So why RV life, you might ask? Well, after hustling my way through college and eventually developing anxiety, my nervous system began to deeply crave a slow, simple life in nature. And the only way for me to do that as a low-income single mom was to live tiny. And as much as I appreciated my parents supporting me and my son, we really needed to start our own lives. It took me about 5 months to finish about 70% of the renovation, and then I finished the rest of it slowly while living in the RV over the past 2 years. So let's go back to the beginning. It all began with an online search. The first one I looked at was in my budget, but it was super old and had lots of damage. The second one was a lot newer and nicer, but it was just too small for us. The last one, however, was just right at almost 30 feet. Meet Ellie, my 2017 Forest River Rockwood Ultralight travel trailer. She had a big slide out, so many huge windows, and I loved the layout. Even though she was a bit over my budget at $23,000, I was able to put a down payment on her for $4,500 and make her mine. Going into this, I had two main requirements. Number one was it had to feel like home, basically as if an old witch or Hagrid from Harry Potter had lived in it. Number two was I wanted to do this as budget-friendly and sustainable as I could. The first job was the demolition phase, which meant taking out everything that resembled an RV. This included the outdated valances surrounding the windows, ugly valances, the extremely heavy couch and 2 reclining chairs, which I was able to sell on Facebook Marketplace. We got the couches out! The disgusting carpet that was on the slide and the bedroom. And I also removed the RV dinette booth, the underbed storage in the bedroom, and a lot of cabinet doors to make the space feel more open. It was at this time that I learned what pocket screws were as I was trying to saw off the center part of these cabinets. During this time, I noticed that the wallpaper started to bubble up in a lot of areas, so I started pulling that off. But with the wallpaper gone, I discovered one of my worst fears, a leak. If you don't know, RVs are notorious for leaks, so it was only a matter of time before this happened. Thankfully, the actual window wasn't leaking, so I didn't have to replace it, but the roof was. When I inspected the roof, I noticed that the previous owners had covered that area up with tape that had baked away in the sun. So after thorough research, I got started right away with upgrading the roof with Henry's Tropical Coolant Sealant and Eternabond tape. While this was a pretty big investment, it is super important for the longevity of your rig, and I would recommend every RV owner to do this. After cleaning the roof with soap and water, degreaser, and rubbing alcohol just in case, I applied the Eternabond tape first, then Henry's Tropical Sealant over the tape, and finally the roof coating, and I was able to turn my roof from this to this. If you want to see more details on how I did this, make sure to check out this video. Moving on to the fun part, the design. I had so many different ideas on what to do, but finally landed on adding wood panels to my living room and kitchen, even though I had only seen that done in one other RV, and going with the colors green, blue, and orange throughout the RV with lots of wood and natural elements. And my plan looks something like this. The first thing I got started on was painting the kitchen and living room cabinets. Today is cabinet painting day. The first step with painting anything is prepping it. So I had to take off all the hardware and sand them down. For these cabinet doors, I wanted to bring in some character. I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I was really hoping to take out the center part of the cabinet doors and replace them with foraged twigs. I know, sounds kind of crazy, but trust me, you'll see in the end. So I had to learn how to use a jigsaw for the first time, which was a little bit daunting, to be honest. I don't know why this is always nerve-wracking. Okay. It looks good. My drill bits weren't working. As you can see, I am literally just screwing in holes with screws to try and make a hole big enough for my jigsaw to fit through so I can get this thing out. At this time, I did not know a multi-tool could have just done the job. But it's okay because eventually I got it out. And after priming, this is how they came out. I absolutely love how it brings in nature and also acts to conceal the items. I went into this thinking that the painting would be the easiest thing to do, but I was very wrong. Painting is very meticulous and takes a lot of prepping. Especially in RVs because they use non-porous surfaces like vinyl and paper veneer. Which is why after thoroughly cleaning all surfaces with degreaser and lightly sanding them, I used a high adhesion primer PPG gripper. I finally had decided that I was going to go ahead and add wood paneling to the entire space. So now I only needed to figure out the paint color for my cabinets. I initially went with this super bright and bold aqua and teal. And while that was fun at first, after living in it for a while, I realized there wasn't enough of my favorite color, which was green, and it wasn't really giving the fairy forest vibes that I had imagined. So I decided to paint it all again, and I am absolutely in love. With the paint finished on the cabinets, I could finally move on to the biggest project I have ever done in my RV, applying wood panels to all of the walls. After letting the wood acclimate for 72 hours, I used a miter saw to cut my boards to size, then applied liquid nails construction adhesive in a squiggly line, and used an 18 gauge brad nailer to nail them to my RV. I went with these 1/4 inch tongue and groove cedar panels from Home Depot, and they really are the best choice when adding a lightweight wood into your rig. The tongue and groove makes them really beginner friendly to apply. While I really wanted to do this as sustainably as I could and used refurbished wood, I really didn't have time to shop around for that. And also, I needed the thinnest wood that I could get to make sure I wasn't adding too much weight. Now, one thing with renovation, you're gonna need some tools. To save on cost, I borrowed as much as I could from my stepdad and my sisters, but there were some power tools that I did invest in, like a good screwdriver, jigsaw, and orbital sander, because I knew they would come in handy in the long run. This whole process was such trial and error, from figuring out how to use power tools. Whoa. I did not even see that switch there. I was literally looking everywhere for something. To making custom cuts to fit my RV. Whoa! Oh my god! Kind of messed up on the curved part. But eventually, I got the hang of it. Yep, I'll fix it right now. As well as cutting boards to size in an RV where things aren't always measured correctly. So I'm trying to create a piece here. This side, it's about 2 inches. You go in the middle, it's about 2.5. And then on this side, it's much bigger, a little over 2.5. But as I kept going, I began to grow confidence in myself, and I learned how to work a lot faster and smarter too. And finally, the walls are done! They're done! So today I'll be working on the trim that is going to be going around like the tops and the corners and other places like the door. To keep the cost down, I had my uncle use his table saw to cut one 1x4 board into multiple trim pieces. It was all finally starting to come together, and now it was time for staining. I went with this water-based stain in Golden Pecan because I felt like it wasn't too heavy, but at the same time it added warmth. It was really easy to work with just with a rag, but you do want to make sure you wear gloves. Because I'm extra and I literally cannot stand anything black in my RV, I decided to spray the window panes with a metal copper spray by Rust-Oleum before adding on the window frames. Guys, it's so pretty. Now moving on to what I was most excited about, the window frames. I drew a lot of inspiration from different van builds and schoolie builds that I had seen because if it can be done in a van, it can be done in an RV. So we're just gonna figure it out just like I do everything else. I used the thinnest wood that I could find to act as the base structure for the arch that the wood panels would go over. I just drew the arch by eyeing it and glued the leftover wood panels that I had from the walls onto it and then cut along the line with my jigsaw. I sanded it down a bit for smoothness and just nailed it into my walls. Then it was time to add the frame over the panel, which I did off camera, but it came out looking like this. I really love how the woodwork came out. I think that the arched windows are the biggest statement in my RV, and it really took it from looking like an RV into an actual home. Also, I never filmed this, but I painted this door as well, and I added some saplings to the overhead cabinets to add an extra touch of nature. Now let's move on to the ceiling. There was absolutely no way I was going to keep this white ceiling, so of course I had to paint it. I really wanted to go for a copper look, but adding copper sheeting was just not affordable or realistic in an RV, so I used the next best thing that I could find, which is my holy grail, Rust-Oleum copper metallic paint. This paint is a solvent-based paint and has a really strong odor and is also really difficult to clean up, so you really want to make sure you have gloves on and proper ventilation. I was really glad that I took a few days to stay at my mom's and park outside her yard and do this project because there would be no way we could sleep in the trailer while this paint was drying. But anyway, look how beautiful she came out. I just love the way this paint reflects light. Now, if you recall from the beginning of this video, I took out my couch and both of the chairs that originally came with the RV. So I needed to figure out a seating solution, especially because the couch is going to act as my bed as well. I landed on this simple L-shaped design, which could fit a small single memory foam mattress because I did not want to sacrifice comfort and also gave us more walking room compared to making it the size of a regular twin bed. Once again, I used my sister's miter saw to cut 2x2s to size. This project was actually a lot simpler than it seems. The most important material is going to be the structural screws because those are super heavy duty and weight bearing. They're also really nice because they don't require pre-drilling, but just make sure you have the right drill bit. Essentially what you're doing is creating each side with support beams in the middle and then screwing all of those sides together to create one big rectangular box. I used wood glue between attaching the 2x2s for maximum support. If you're wanting to recreate something like this, make sure to just follow exactly what I did in this video, or you can go check out the more detailed video of this for step-by-step guide. To make sure that the bed wouldn't move while I was driving, I attached a 2x2 into the wall and then attached the base structure into that 2x2. Additionally, you can screw the base structure into the floor as well for even more stability. I sprayed mold control underneath where I was going to put the couch, added an extra 2x2 for additional support, and started attaching the panels and hinges so that the top board could lift up and still act as storage space underneath. Look at me, so proud of myself, but I had to do it all again for the little L part. But let's just skip past all of that because it's essentially the same thing and go to the fun part, the design. I really wanted to use the couch as an opportunity to bring even more character and charm into my little cottage. I draw a lot of inspiration for my RV from one of my favorite Instagram pages, Parking on the Wild Side. And I tried to recreate a similar design they have on their cabinets on my couch with pyrography or wood burning. I just used a pretty cheap kit that I found on Amazon. You're going to want to start off by sanding your board really well and do this before you create your sketch, unlike me. For the L-shaped section, I was getting tired of waiting on the wood burning, so I just decided to paint the entire thing. And here's the final reveal. I am absolutely obsessed. It is very much hobbitcore and makes me feel like a woodland creature. I love creating functional art in my home. You probably noticed that cabinet over there, which I totally forgot to mention, that I replaced the old RV dinette booth with this cabinet. I didn't really need that big of a table, and what was really lacking here was counter space, and that was probably the most important thing for me. So I went ahead and bought this little countertop from Facebook Market for like $60. Then I went ahead and bought this collapsible table from Amazon because it was space saving and I really didn't feel like making a table. I also replaced the door to the bathroom with this accordion door that I got from Home Depot. I covered the control box in the entryway with the really beautiful second-hand piece that I got from Facebook Marketplace. I also added one of my favorite features in the kitchen, these flip-up countertops that I just got cut at Home Depot. So all I had to do was stain it, coat it in polyurethane, and attach it with some heavy-duty folding brackets. Now, remember those huge, horrendous recliners that I took out? Well, I replaced that with this little simple DIY workstation. It's really simple. I just used some of these boards that were in my mom's old house. They were in a bookshelf and they happened to be like the perfect size for this part. I used these little like L-hook shelf holders, which looking back, I think I would change to the previous foldable collapsible ones I mentioned. I also created a magical foresty cabinet door for this cabinet. And here's how. Give a girl a jigsaw and watch her create whatever she wants. So the plan is to put this border around the cabinet door. I've never made a cabinet door, y'all, so I'm just, I don't know, winging it. And I'm cutting this, didn't measure it, just kind of eyed it, and gonna frame it, stain it the same color, so we'll come back. You have been terribly misinformed. And that pretty much wraps up the living space and kitchen. I would say she's about 90% finished, but I'm so in love with her now. But that is only half of my tiny home. So let's move over to the bedroom and see what's going on over there. This is what the bedroom looked like when I first started renovating. And yes, there was another water leak in this window, which I fixed. RVs truly are a labor of love, people. Immediately, I took out the storage underneath the bed because it took up almost the entire space and there was barely any room to walk around the bed. Then I got started on prying off the horrible carpet over the bed platform. Initially, I painted the room green just to put something on the walls, but eventually, me and my son came up with the design for his bedroom that looks something like this. We were going for a Harry Potter theme, incorporating my son's favorite shades of blue with the bewitched night sky mural as the main attraction. But before I did all that, I needed to do something about this closet, which by the way looked like this when I first got this RV. So I made a new frame for it and it came out like this and it really made such a difference. I did this using some wood that I found in the clearance section of Home Depot and I got them for like $1 each, which was really great. I just used my jigsaw to cut them to size and sanded them down. I used my favorite water-based stain to match the bookshelves that were already in the room. Oh my gosh! It looks so good! Wow, it's been so long since we had the frame on. So much better than the old outdated frame. Now that that was done, it was time to move on to finishing painting the walls. going to try and do is kind of blend this color with the ceiling and make it like a gradient. I've got some of the ceiling paint here. To create clouds, I just used a lighter color and the roller. To create stars, I used a toothbrush, dipped it in liquidy paint, and flicked it. Now we are going to work on this ugly thing right here. I have decided to make my own fake stone wall, which hopefully doesn't look fake. I used 2 of these XPS rigid foam boards and they were $17 each. I made sure to take off the little plastic lining thing so that the paint could adhere. Then I just sketched some random stone-like shapes and began the painstaking process of cutting them all out. I am kind of starting to regret this decision. I've done nothing but cut rocks. And after many layers of painting and gluing each stone with wood glue and compressing it overnight so that the glue would hold, we had a finished stone wall. Now let's fix this RV door and make it less RV. Of course, I started by spraying the black metal with Rust-Oleum in metallic rust. At this point, Rust-Oleum just needs to sponsor me. And because I personally really hate the way RV doors look, I would really love to have a residential door, but that's just not realistic weight-wise in an RV. So I added some wood panels and bonded it with really heavy-duty construction adhesive. I did add some screws just in case in some areas. And this only added 7 pounds to the door. So for this part, I just made custom measurements for the cutouts. Then I stained it and voila, we had a new door. I also added a frame and a darker stain around the door from the inside. And then finally, the day came. Today, we will no longer stare at these hideous cabinets. Don't get me wrong, brown is one of my favorite colors, but I just don't love a cool tone brown in an interior setting. Before I could start painting, I needed to shorten this long closet because we kept hitting our heads on it and it just took up way too much room. I did this with my multi-tool, the star of the show. I absolutely recommend getting one of these. They're so useful. But after all that, I was feeling like I'm so over this renovation. What thing? That thing?
Yeah.
I know, it's gone.
How'd you get rid of it?
I freaking pried it off, sawed it off.
Oh my gosh.
That's what I was doing all night.
It probably fell right here.
Yep, all the pieces are at the front. Now we can actually sit down here. Then I got started on painting with Kacha furniture paint. Guys, this paint is so beautiful. It's a chalk paint, and I also got black and gold decorative wax to put on the edges to define them and to just bring some more magic into the room. This is what it's looking like with just the black, and I'm already obsessed. It's so beautiful. It's like, reminds me of like a Disney movie. After that, the last step was to change out the light fixtures, which you guys, I have been avoiding for so long. I've always been scared of electrical things. If you ever wonder what's an RV ceiling made of, it's made of styrofoam. What's the metal? I don't know what I'm doing. It said to cut this off, but I don't know, I googled it and it said something different, so I'm just gonna like wrap it with wire electrical tape. This has a white and black, so I guess I'm gonna do the same. Ah! Ow, my arm muscles. I always get nervous in this part too, because it's like, am I even doing it right? I hate this part. Oh, there we go, yay. I finally got that hardware mounted Now to put in the light bulb, which I got off of Amazon. They're 12-volt light bulbs. So it's able to go into any residential light fixture and work in a 12-volt system. Okay, here you go. Oh! Oh my gosh. That's beautiful. Wow. Wow, before, after. I have to still hang up the things that go around so it won't be as like bright, but let's do that. So this should help kind of dull it a little bit. Oh, look at this way it makes the stars look. It creates like a star shape too. See that on the outside? Yo, I'm actually obsessed. What the heck? Oh my gosh. Now I just had to do it one more time on the other side, and this is what the room is looking like so far. There's one room left that we haven't talked about yet, the bathroom, which I haven't really done much to except for paint because I have one limiting factor, money. If you don't know, renovations take a lot of money. So if you want to help me out with that, you can like, subscribe, comment on this video, and watch it till the end because all of that helps my channel out a lot. But yeah, by now you guys know the drill. Sand, primer, and paint. But the difference with the bathroom is I actually chose a lime paint. A lime paint is an eco-friendly traditional paint that creates a really beautiful texture. I used terracotta from Vasari and I had to apply it in a kind of crisscross pattern with the brush. For the bathroom, I kind of wanted to keep it a little more simple, but also still add in a pop of color. And I also wanted to go for more of a spa-like feel, so I painted the walls and the ceiling the same color. I have big plans for this bathroom, but for now, this is where we're at. And after years of saving up, sketching out ideas, learning how to use power tools, learning woodworking, painting, making furniture, creating art, all while mothering, traveling the world part-time, and holding down a full-time job, the renovation was complete. Well, mostly. It's truly wild waking up every day and living my fairy tale dreams in my little cottagecore, foresty tiny home on wheels, and literally living an answered prayer, even when I had no idea what I was doing and honestly doubted sometimes that I could even do this, but I still kept going despite being afraid. And I think as beautiful as the renovation came out to be, the confidence that I grew in myself over the past almost 3 years was the best part of it all. I feel like if I can tow an RV, back up an RV, renovate an RV, I can probably do anything I put my mind to, and so can you. Even though I took a pretty long time and I'm still not finished, I am content and so happy with what I've created and with my little home. I have truly created not just a home, but a life that I don't want to escape from anymore. And I thank you so much for coming along with me on this journey.